sunshine and blue skies and light breeze just brushing across Mount Smart Stadium for this inaugural Peter Leach QSM Pacific Challenge, a full-blown test between New Zealand and Tonga. And we're only about 7 to 8 days away from the 13th World Cup, which is heavy on the minds of both these nations. Stephen McCarthy, Ropari in for international rugby, and the excitement builds towards the World Cup. Full-blown test. Both sides have lost some players. We'll check on that in a moment. But, gee, it's all on today.
Well, it's all on because you look at a Tongan side that there's enough individual personnel in that football side to trouble any football team in the game of rugby league. So if you come in just a little off your game, there's enough in there that beware. Let's have a look at the Tongan lineup that Jimmy Dimmock has run with. They've lost their skipper, Lupini Pires. We go inside their dressing room and get ready to see them out here. We go from the back. Talanoa, Tonga, Vuna, Jennings and big Tony Williams heading for Manly in the new season. Mateo and Pire will run things around. Gutenberg, Leo Lata, he'll know this ground well, Will Tavita. Antonio Kaufusi out of Melbourne. For also Emilio and Manu on the bench. Big Manase Mano Kofoa off to the Cowboys in the new year. Lawaki freshly married on Thursday. Epalahami, congratulations. Paya and also Moa, they're coached by Jimmy Dimmock.
Well, Jim Dimmock, a couple of changes to the team maybe that we were expecting. Your captain, he's a scratching today, but more precautionary, they tell me.
Yeah, he's had a recurring shoulder problem, so just more precaution than anything. We prefer to have him right for the World Cup, so he misses out and Owen Gutenberg becomes the captain, so it's a big privilege for him to captain Tonga. When you look at the Tongan side, there's names like Talanoa, exciting talent at the back, and Mateo loves an offload, and plenty of whack on the bench. Manase Manakafoa, Lawaki, you've got some starch. Yeah, we've got some big boppers there, so hopefully you know, the boys don't turn the ball over too often, and you know, we've got some strong forwards there, Antonio Kaufusi, Tavita Latu, and all the players that you said, so there's plenty of creativity there, and hopefully you know, we can show that today. Good luck. Thank you, we'll need it.
And the key to it, as outlined by Coach Jimmy Dimmock, is about controlling the football. If they can control the football, there's the size in front of them. The likes of Owen Gutenberg likes to play tight in around the middle of the ruck there. And then you've got the Manakafoa, Kaufusi as well. So if they control the football, plenty to play off the back of it. None more so than Feleti Mateo in the number 6 shirt. This is a guy perhaps not your traditional 5'8", loves to play in the line. When he gets involved, takes it to them. He has the physical presence, the stature to be able to stand and offload, and it's his offloading game. That's where the surprises come when you least expect it. Beautiful offload.
Look, I'm beginning to wonder whether the size and the shape of Feleti Mateo is the new prototype 5'8", the old sort of former back row, second row, and now that they've got the skills to take it in the middle, it'd be a lot tougher in that position.
Well, the irony, I guess, when you look at Feleti Mateo, is that he's playing under the current coach Jimmy Dimmock, who is perhaps one of the best back rowing, ball-playing back rowers in the game of rugby league as well. So it's nothing new. It's perhaps a little bit of a return to the way it used to be. Someone who could play equally as good at 5'8", but also very good at loose forward. All right, let's take a look at the Kiwis. Have quite a solemn atmosphere. They have lost some players coming into this match, in particular Manu Vatuva and also Lance Hawaii and their skipper Nathan Kalis. So Jeremy Smith will skipper for the first time in the 13 shirt. Parrott, Inu, Mate, Ropati, Nightingale, Marshall and Lulua will run them around. Blair, Feenan, Rapira, Mannering, Sar and Smith. On the bench, it's Luke, Eastwood, Manu and Fa'alongo, and of course they are coached by Stephen Kearney. Stephen, some people are calling this a friendly, but you're expecting anything but that.
Yeah, certainly. We look at the Tongan side, and there's some real quality there, and it's a great opportunity for us to have a real solid hit out for next week.
Speaking of next week, some people might be a bit anxious because Vatuve, Hohai and Nathan Kalis all sidelined today. Do we read too much into that?
Yeah, it was you know, they just pulled up with a couple of niggles from last week and later on this week at training. So again, they're important parts of our team, and certainly didn't want to risk them.
All right, and just finally, these sort of games have caused problems before with injuries, so that's always a concern, but today a necessary evil to play the game?
Oh, most definitely. Again, every game you play, there's the risk of injury, so you know, we think it's an important part of our preparation, and you know, we're looking forward to it.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
And 3 big losses for the Kiwis. When you look at Manu Vatuve, Lance O'Hare, they've been involved at the back end of a season. They're in good form, and you just got to go back 7 days ago, their performance up against the New Zealand Māori side. Lance O'Hare, outstanding. So they lose a lot. In their place come a couple of players who perhaps need some time. A lot of football required to be able to get themselves up to the pace. Benji Marshall, for a player that's been out for 6 weeks, what we saw in 50 minutes last week was nothing short of outstanding. Plenty of speed. He's the player with the X factor. They'll be looking to him to lead them around the park. Also good to have Thomas Luluwai back in the squad. Also perhaps with the added luxury of having last week's game under his belt. Now another week in camp, about building combinations, about understanding understanding how Benji plays. Both those players absolutely crucial to the success of.
You made mention in prime time on May Thursday, Peter, about how the fact that Benji Marshall is like 1.5 metres ahead of everybody else. Will he have to temper that in a game like today? Because this one will be played, as you might say, island styles.
Well, I think island style will have its place, but it's about coming on the back of control. Not only for New Zealand, but also for Tonga. They both recognise the importance of getting some shape to their game. Owen Goodbill will be that for the Tongan side. Without Kalis, Blair, they need to find it good that Sammy Rapira's in good form. They're the guys you've got to look to find your shape to control the tempo of the game.
It is all on here at Mount Smart Stadium, a full-blown international, only the third ever meeting between these two sides. The Tongan team led by Jimmy Dimmock are out on the field, awaiting a welcome by Her Royal Highness Princess Salotipilo Levu-Tuita, and then the Kiwis will come out and meet Her Royal Highness as well, and then it will be a game on as we take it upstairs with DJ and Costa. Afternoon, lads.
Good afternoon, Stephen, Peter, and welcome to Mount Smart Stadium, everybody. Just 7 sleeps to go before the start of the Rugby League World Cup, our first World Cup in 8 years. Back at the home of the Warriors for this warm-up clash between the Kiwis and Tonga. The ground bathes in sunshine, as we've already seen, and the Pertek Kiwis. We await their arrival here. Plenty of red and white, though, Daryl Halligan. The Tongans not lacking in support for this one here in the City of the Sails this afternoon.
No, and as the Tongan side warm up, for sure, there is plenty of support for them in the grandstand. For the Kiwi side, I like the look of it. Sia Soliola and David Kidwell not required for this match. Steve Kearney mentioning he's picked his best side. So that gives you some insight to the depth that Steve Kearney has available. 2 players who have been at the forefront of rugby league over the last 3 or 4 years. Jeremy Smith, a new Kiwi captain on a big day.
Yes, some late changes that we weren't aware of until the last hour. And there he is, St George Illawarra bound. Jeremy Smith, part of the Melbourne Storm side that featured in that 40-0 flogging in the grand final. A man who was in the thick of it, Stephen Kearney, right beside Craig Bellamy, on what was a day the Storm and their supporters would rather forget. The Kiwis out onto Mount Smart for their final hit out before taking on the old enemy, the Australians, in Sydney town tomorrow week. First game of the tournament, the World Cup, Saturday night, next Saturday in Townsville, where Papua New Guinea will take on England. But of course, all eyes looking ahead to that game between the Kangaroos and the Kiwis at the SFS next Sunday night. As the 2 teams line up now for the formalities before kick-off, the presence of Her Royal Highness Princess Saloti Pilo Levu Tuita.
Well done, Costa.
Yes, the Princess, not a regular visitor to North Queensland, I might add, so thank you, Chook, for that. There is Her Royal Highness. Pitch side this afternoon. And Princess now being introduced to the Tongan players.
And one of the things that the World Cup of Rugby League will bring to your screens over the next month will be the colour of these Polynesian teams and their little disciplines about how they go about it. We'll be all better off for it, introduced to their princess.
Very much English-like pre-match here this afternoon. Reminiscent of what we usually see, and we do see every year at the old Twin Towers, Wembley Stadium. A nice touch there, a real thrill for some of those players, no doubt. The Kiwis now lining up to also meet the Princess. Benji Marshall, we just saw a shot of him. It'll be interesting to see just how much rust there is. West Tigers, another ill-fated campaign for them. Such a key man in the halves. He's had limited opportunities in the black jumper. Just a handful of test matches, Daryl Halligan. It's quite remarkable. A career that's been punctuated by chronic injury.
What I like about Benji Marshall is he does tend to play the game fresh and play it well. His components that he'll take to the side and add in terms of kicking and direction will be instrumental in New Zealand doing well at the World Cup. The support he'll get from Fiend in the halves will be a key to this match.
So now both teams lined up at Mount Smart for the respective national anthems. Well, it's not the biggest crowd we've seen in this part of the world, but many of them on their feet with the formalities coming to a close. Stephen Kearney will have the Kiwis revved up for this, no doubt about that. And the Red Army of the Pacific certainly with the lion's share of support for this one. Two teams battling it out for the inaugural Peter Leach QSM Pacific Challenge. As the two teams line up, get set for the pre-match haka from the Pertek Kiwis. the sippy towel. You expect the unexpected here today. We expected the haka first. So much for that theory. Well, there you have it. And judging from what I've just seen, Adam Blair, his blood pressure must be off the Richter scale.
Brilliant stuff. Led from the front well. One of the best exponents of it, Blair himself. And Tonga themselves, watching guys they play football with, get all passionate about representing their country. Nothing better.
Jason Robinson, just his second test match. A regular in the NRL's refereeing ranks nowadays. The drums beating in the background. It's a great scene here at Mount Smart. As we heard just a moment ago from Stephen, it's just the third time these two countries have met in a rugby league test match. And Owen Guttenbeil, a special occasion for him. For a wonderful career he has had, particularly with the Warriors. He actually featured, for those who can remember, with the Tongan side back in '95 at the Rugby League World Cup, which seems now many moons ago. Kiwis, they won the toss. They've elected to receive at the Manukau end of the ground. Steve Matai, after his heroics for Manly in the grand final, he's ready to go back to work. We're underway in the inaugural Peter Leach QSM Pacific Challenge. And it's the Kiwis with first use of the football, but maybe not for long. Look at these red jumpers coming in from far and wide. And leading the way was Michael Jennings from the Penrith Panthers. His early confrontations will be something to behold. Plenty of heavy contact. New Zealand, hot favourites for this one, you'd have to think, but right off the Tongans at your own peril. They certainly have a formidable lineup themselves as Mannering, part of the Warrior connection in this Kiwi side, gets played just out beyond the 30-metre line. Rapira hits it up. Just recapping those changes. Kalis missing today, Vartuve and also Lance Hohaya, as we see a clearing kick here off the boot of Nathan Thien. And after 60 seconds, the Tongans get a chance. Oh, no chance whatsoever. Matai said, get that into you. Big shot it was. That brings the fans to life. The Kiwi fans, that is.
You'd expect most of the big hits basically to be coming from Tonga in this first part to get their crowd all revved up. But Steve Matai, he takes it into his own hands and bang, puts a good shoulder on him. Who said he had a crook shoulder coming out of the grand final? No problem.
Well, that's one hell of a fitness test, if you could put it that way, Darryl, as we see the old stager himself, Owen Guttenbeil, captain today in the absence of Lupini Paya from the Roosters. And now New Zealand bringing it back with Sam Perrott, and he spreads it straight away. They link up with Inu. Matai, the sortie out of dummy half, making some metres, and he's trapped 3 metres short of the halfway line as we go sideline. Peter O'Putty, this should be a good contest between the Kiwis and Tonga.
It certainly is, Costo DJ, and it's a wonderful occasion, particularly when you get involved and bring the island nations to a game of football. No denying plenty of Tongan support when you look at the easterly stand there, and so great to see the red and white flag of Tonga flying proudly as well. This is a game of footy. You touched on it, you talked about the unexpected, expect the unexpected. Well, keep an eye on Tonga because they're going to throw plenty of this. So far, the Kiwis have shown having that week under their belt, they're better for it.
Wouldn't you like to get a touch in the first set of 6 in this match, Peter? Like a hit up down there?
Well, I think I'd prefer to watch it, but there's plenty to come. There's also quite a strong Wesley at the back of the Kiwis at the moment as well. Many would say old school, worth 10 points.
What we do know is that the Kiwis are only 12 metres away and scampering away from the red jumpers. Nathan Feeney's first game for the Kiwis since the infamous Granny Gate scandal from a couple of years ago, and now Jeremy Smith, the captain, makeshift captain, 2 metres short. Battle stations now for Tonga. A big switch, Babs, coming up from Marshall, dancing with the defence, goes backwards, got rid of one, got rid of the ball. How did he do that? A bouncing ball. And now on the far side of the ground, the Kiwis go to ground, possession in hand. Inu will get up and play it back. 2 more tackles left for New Zealand. Here's Blair, goes across, bumping run, great ball from Smith. Is there a try? No, just shut down as Feen right under the horns. Northern end of the ground. 1 more tackle to play with. They're lined out nice and deep. They go to Marshall. There's the kick, threading the needle. Kiwis have got it back. It's still the last. Now a second kick. Marshall, cross field, up they go. Oh my goodness. Tonga, they're off the hook and only just.
Off the hook. The football from New Zealand, well, how they didn't make a mistake and cough it up. It was brilliant. Offloads everywhere, Smith in amongst a lot of it. Benji Marshall running across field. This is exactly what they want to do. They want to move the ball around on the Tongans early in the match, take a little bit of fatigue out of them, and get the ascendancy.
Plenty of tackling pressure I should say, and plenty of tackling practice early on the Tongans in the opening 4 minutes. As we see Lauaki, the newlywed Lauaki, warm up on the sideline.
Kafusi, a right shoulder problem, I think, but Tonga away. Tony Williams. In fact, it was Jennings.
So Kafusi gets a spell. Has played in the green and gold for the Kangaroos. A couple of years ago, that was. And now, look at those red jumpers coming in and buckling over Perrott. Manakafawa is the fresh man on. North Queensland bound. Former Rabbit, of course. Adding plenty of starch to Jim Dimmock and the Tongan bench. 5 gone, no score at Mount Smart. And this is Nightingale from the St George Illawarra Dragons. 10 metres into enemy territory. He plays it back for Feen, and they go across now to Luluai, and a pressure ball it was for Matai. Couldn't do too much. They come back to the open side. Oh, nice hands from Luluai to keep it going, and Rapira now hits it up. Kafoa brings him to ground. On the last, they go the right side. Luluai with the little kick in behind the line. And Talanoa is back there and he gets jammed. Oh my goodness, what was he doing? Giving his coach and everyone else supporting the team in the red a heart attack. I thought the ball was going to pop out the back. He had to take the safety first option. That was to go to ground. They'll get it back here, New Zealand. This is a good tactic and more possession for them.
Perfect kick. I like the way Thomas Luluai put his hand up and dictated where that ball was going. I watched both him and Marshall at that last play in the ruck. He said he wanted it on the right, saw the option, put it in, and the kick was perfect into the end goal. Force him back in, apply a little bit more pressure.
Drop out coming up, the first of the match. Special welcome to our international audience, in particular those watching on the other side of the Tasman through our good friends at Fox Sports. This is Blair on tackle 1 for the Kiwis.
Knock back 1, up and back.
Centre of the ground, 25 metres out from the goal line. Jeremy Smith back on the inside here for Rapira. And he is brought to ground. Guttenbeil in the thick of it for the Tongans. Manakafara, and also involved was Faoso. And now Marshall looking to show some magic, overplaying his hand perhaps, and Robinson has called it back here for the infringement, the knock-on. So Marshall, we spoke about Russ Chook, there is some obviously.
Emilio's on his outside and he tries to line him up to run a hole. Emilio from the Dogs normally plays in the centres for them. He's playing in the second row here for this Kiwi side. And yes, as Benji shifted across, Emilio dropped off. The ball went to ground.
Seconds down, pull them together.
Guys, just an update on Kafusi. suspected shoulder injury. Not quite sure whether he's going to return to the match. But one thing that's so evident at the moment, the Kiwis talked on the back of last week's performance up against New Zealand Maoris about being able to control the football. So far, 7 minutes into the game, they're doing exactly that, and particularly with the likes of Thomas Luluwai, just bringing a steady influence to it and controlling the tempo of the game.
And a good surge here. This is a fine run from Tony Williams, the former junior kangaroo. So the Tongans now 12 short of halfway. This battle continuing. Plenty of big boppers on both sides as the referee, Robertson, has the arm extended. Now a little kick over the top from the halfback in Eddie Payer, and it's gobbled up at the back. And look at this, bringing it back for the Kiwis, reading the play quite nicely. Sam Perrott had a wonderful year in 2007. A real introduction to international football, and he came through with flying colours as Jeremy Smith crosses the midway stripe where he goes to ground in a three-man tackle. Again, it's Woodenbeal right in there, keeping it nice and tight in that middle third. Oh, an upending experience for one of the Kiwis. They keep it going, and this is Nightingale. Robinson said that was fair enough, play on. But now he's seen what a knock-on, a little knock-on. They all count.
Nightingale believing there was a helping hand in there. A nice offload from the Kiwis sees Nightingale down his left wing. Tony Williams, who he's marking, is a huge man. Nightingale trying to put a bit of footwork on him to try and beat him. Here he is, here steps back inside off his left foot. Collared here.
Heads down.
And no helping hand.
Tony, go on, have a run. Tony.
So Tonga in possession here through Cooper Vuna, but not for long.
That's a loose carry, he's knocked it on.
Had a fair year, the former Warrior, didn't he, at the Newcastle Knights, but that's a play he would rather not see again on replay. They'll get it back here, New Zealand, just like that.
Along with Richard Fioso, Vuna had a great year in Newcastle. Thomas Luluwai, good solid shot on him. He'd be disappointed with that. Tonga needs some football. The whole game has been played down this end of the football field so far. Just a 10 gone.
Pull them together.
Luluwai says we'll go the short side. He hands it on to Perrott. Almost 10 gone, no score at Mount Smart. You are watching the Peter Leach Pacific Challenge between the Kiwis and Tonga. A good ball, is it? Yes, from Blair, back to Fiend. Hanging around like a bad smell. He knew there was an offload in the offing. He placed it back a couple of metres short. Marshall, good ball, great ball, sensational ball. Big play from Benji, some Marshall magic, and dotting down to get us underway. Jason Nightingale, the Kiwis will play from in front.
Well done. They held their nerve. They've had all the football at the right end of the football field, and it all started with an offload right in the middle of the field. Nathan Fiend will be backing Benny Blair up. And right there, I thought he should have shifted it. He didn't. They waited for another play. And right here, Benji's got numbers stacked up. Look how short they are. There's Cooper Vuna on the outside for Tonga. No side of Tony Williams, who is actually on the wing here. Shoots it straight past them. And Jason Nightingale, not originally listed to play in this match, gets a game. Seen as Manu Vatuvai, unable to play today, opens the scoring with a pretty simple try.
Nightingale also coming off a pretty impressive year at St George Illawarra. And the little general, Stacey Jones, alongside the coach. And Stephen Kearney looking rather relaxed. I dare say he'll have a different game face tomorrow week when they come up against the Green and Golds at the SFS.
Plenty of options in the goal kicking for New Zealand. Kristen Inu had a good year of goal kicking last year with Parramatta when Luke Burt was injured. Even right through the final series. You can throw into the hat there. Steve Matai kicks a little bit as well.
We saw that as recently as the grand final.
I believe Jeremy Smith is also pretty dab-handed as well. Throw into there, Benji Marshall. Probably a few more too, Costa.
So long as they can score the tries to give them the opportunity to convert those goals, kick those goals. Here we go, first shot of the afternoon coming up. From way out on this western sideline, and Inu has got it. Up go the flags. 4 becomes 6. Marshall engineering the opening try and it's the Kiwis at 6 points to block.
And what I'm enjoying is the work of what Stephen Kearney on primetime referred to the ruckmen. That's the likes of Adam Blair, Jeremy Smith, equally as competent playing on the edge, but can also come to the middle. Blair particularly with his offload ability to find the pass, put on the back end, and Benji, well, you couldn't say anything other than good vision.
Back underway at Mount Smart, and a good catch in the end from Marshall. That might have been Jerome Ropati, I beg your pardon. Here he goes for a gallop out of dummy half beyond the 30. Almost 13 gone. Herod in a dummy half, some delaying tactics from Guttenbeil, probably somewhat lucky not to have been penalised. You could hear Jason Robinson barking instructions to clear the ruck. Crossing halfway, the captain, Smith, in charge of his country for the first time ever. Special occasion for him. And now Lulawai. Great foil for Marshall in the halves. Plenty of options with the kick. Here's one of them. And look at this. Talanoa is jammed, trapped, nowhere to go. Once more, the Kiwis will get it back.
All New Zealand. It started from the kickoff. Not a long kickoff from Tony Williams. And New Zealand moved it up to halfway easily. On the back of it, no pressure on Lulawai to again go down the right-hand side in the right-hand corridor. He kicked that from about 35 metres out. So from a kickoff, Tonga's going to need to hold their ground a little bit better through the middle of the field. They're back on their haunches. Repeats that.
Well, Kafusi, he's in more strife than that. Looking at that picture, cutting a forlorn figure on the bench inside the opening quarter of an hour. We spoke about potential for injuries here today. Cast your mind back to Stacey Jones in '99 playing for the Kiwis against Tonga, suffering that broken arm. We'll be seeing history repeat itself here today. I'm sure Peter will keep us updated as we watch the action. And Marshall back on the inside. Here comes the second try of the afternoon, and it's all too easy. Setamata Saar says thank you very much, and the Kiwis, just like that, hit double figures. 10-0 with a kick to come. Problems already for Tonga.
They held their width and they held their line. Watch Marshall as he comes across. Depth of hand. Everyone thought he hadn't a throw in it. And Saar, well, second rower, centre, played in the centres in the Centenary Test or the Anzac Test earlier this year. Now he's in the back row of this Kiwi side. And once he gets over the line, he's got a bit of fancy footwork to do as well before he wraps it round under the post. Good structure. First he goes wide, Marshall with the long one. Then he drops someone off on the inside. This time it was Saar getting through all their rehearsed plays.
Canterbury product, as we've just seen. Born in Samoa. And a hit in first grade in 2007 with the Sydney Roosters. And Inu now with a shot that's much easier than that first up assignment. Should be able to knock this one over to give the Kiwis a buffer of 2 converted tries. On its way, he's nailed it. Once more, flags are raised. And looking ominous already for Tonga at 12 points to 0.
Well, ominous, particularly as the Kiwis continue to control the football. A lot is spoken throughout the week about their ability to really control this part of the game. And when you get up the other end with so much possession, playing at the right end, Jeremy Smith's doing a wonderful job. And unfortunately for Emilio, just breaking his shape on his defensive line, going for Benji.
Yet another restart for the Tongans. Yet more ammunition for the Kiwis. They really need to muscle up now, Tonga. The missed tackles are mounting. As we see Jerome Ropati hit it up. And Rapira, oh my dear, look at this. This picture suggests he is not sure where he is. As we see Jeremy Smith take them on and still going. Look at him. And Rapira giving some words of encouragement from the Kiwi trainer. He's getting his faculties back in order, if you like. As Marshall looks to press the go button once more. He's been the architect of the opening 2 tries. Smith handing it on to Blair. There's the one-hander out the back door. The Melbourne Storm connection. Oh, there was an intercept in the offing there. And luckily for the Kiwis, they'll get it back.
Defends very well on the left-hand side is Michael Jennings. He'll push up on the outside, but Sammy Rapira, well, he's copped a knock that he might remember or not remember for some time. Oh, well, there you are, face to face. And here, Luluai shoots it round, trying to get the ball to Matai out wide, but Jennings had pushed up well.
But the Tongans knew they needed to come up with something big there and had to come up in a big defensive play as well. Playing with no football, playing at the wrong end of the park, they need to find something special to give them an opportunity to play in this game.
New Zealand now with Rowe Party brought to ground in rather awkward fashion. 10 metres, Tonga side of halfway. Here's Perrott making some inroads out of dummy half. Come the open side, steaming onto the ball. David Fa'alongo. What a player to bring off the bench. Fiend goes to Marshall. Now to Luluai. They're looking dangerous once more. Luluai. Little man still. It took the best part of 3 men to stop him in his tracks. Again, Tonga being stretched. And the Kiwis offloading at will. Here's Fiend jinking and weaving. They keep it going. There's an overlap out wide if they spread it all the way. Nightingale for a double and will get there. Another try for the men in black. And the scoreboard is ticking over at Mount Smart at 16 block.
A double for our man Nightingale here on the left. But the work in the middle of the field and the offloads from the Kiwis is absolutely killing this Tongan side. Smith is right in the thick of it. What that does is drag everyone in. Once they've dragged them in, they need to shift it quickly. I thought they held the ball just a little too long. Would have cost them a little bit of time, but they had the numbers to get it there anyway. So if you create some offloads in the middle of the field and drag the defence in, shift it wide, you'll have the numbers. Tony Williams gives Nightingale a bit of a smack across the chops as he steps inside him, just to let him know it wasn't all that easy, but he gets a double.
Jason Nightingale made his first grade debut only last year, product of the renowned United Club, famous club in the St George Nursery in southern Sydney. Well connected, of course, with the Gasnier name. And Billy Johnson back with the Cowboys after taking care of off-field matters at the Gold Coast Titans in their first couple of seasons, laying down the law, no doubt. I'm sure the message has gone out from Jim Dimmock to stop the rot.
Holding the football will be the first thing. Finishing their sets, getting down the other end of the field, well, that will be a start. Inu nailed his first one from the sideline, exactly the same spot. No trouble with the distance. Have a breeze coming, assisting from right to left. We'll feed this out to the right, and it doesn't come back. There you go.
No change to the scoreboard. It's the Kiwis leading Tonga 16 points to 0.
And always the risk when you don't have combinations, when you don't have a good, thorough understanding with you and the guy standing beside you. Defensively, you don't have the utmost confidence in the guy that's inside you. So all of a sudden, your defensive line loses its shape. It's all over the place. You find yourself compressed. And if you use the width, as we did there, Nightingale, while he finds the try line.
16 points in 20 minutes and a shot tactic here. Mateo has cut loose. Hindever, high tackle, play on's the call, and Tonga now with their best opportunity in the match. Here we go. Tavita, Leo, Latu, 2 metres out. The Tongan fans now getting excited, and fair enough. 9 metres away, let's see what they've got. Manakafawa. Oh, ball's come loose. Somewhat of an anticlimax. And the Kiwis can breathe a sigh of relief.
Just when they get the football up here and have a crack, it was a short kickoff. The fourth one today, they go short, and Mateo, everyone was expecting something brilliant from Veliti. You know what he's like when he sees a bit of open space. And then Manakafoa, about 3 plays later, well, was he trying to throw that out the back? There wasn't anyone in support. they cough it over.
And gentlemen, I just looked at the Kiwi bench, a bit of movement starting to take place there. Eastwood warming up on the sideline, but you look at some of the talent still to come on. Isaac Luke particularly, he was outstanding in the All Golds match last week. Imagine him coming on a little bit later as he's up against a tiring defensive line.
Yes, we certainly look forward to that, Roto, as the Kiwis very professionally bring it away from the danger zone, and Marshall got rid of the football. Sometimes does play in the proverbial dinner suit. And with plenty of Polynesian beef coming his way, why wouldn't you get rid of the Steeden? And now Blair, a couple of metres short of halfway, will rise to play the football. No, he won't. Jason Robinson says that's not acceptable. Late in the count. Ouch, Chook, that certainly hurts.
Richard Fioso from Tonga just trying to slow the ruck area up. New Zealand has had that area controlled since the start of the game. Does this fine touch? Tony Williams, yes, just gets, watch it go into touch. But by trying to slow it down, he's a pretty well-known water boy, one Ruben Wiki. But if Tonga can't slow the ruck area down, then the creativity of this New Zealand side will continue to impress.
Here's a man who's certainly impressed on his day at the Broncos, Eastwood. First touch of the afternoon after 23.5 minutes. English-bound Greg Eastwood, I should add, relieves Adam Blair. So they're only about 6 metres away. But we've got another try here from close range. It's Mannering who is engulfed by Mateo. We come back the open side. Eastwood keeping it alive. It ends up in the hands of Smith. One pass more was required. Play on's the call. No. Come back here. No try to Eastwood. Robinson has spotted the knock-on. We will have a scrum.
This mistake's been coming. Smith, the Kiwi captain today, with his carry. You watch him just carrying the ball in one hand here. There's many offloads here. Carries it in the right hand. There it is. Out to play. Across comes Fioso. Knocks it down. He's had 3 or 4 offloads already today on this occasion in the contact zone. Eastwood was there.
There probably could have been a case there for checking that upstairs. I'm surprised Robinson didn't refer it to David Pakiito, who is our video referee this afternoon. And he obviously had a clean view of it, a clear view of it, and was a lot closer to the action than us up here in the box. Look at that tackle count for Tonga. Well, they're going to need an abacus to keep count, and the possession count makes for ugly reading as well.
Well, this hurts as well now. He's called a forward pass here. They had a little bit of momentum in the last 2 tackles of this set. I was just thinking to myself, what a good set of 6. Jimmy Dimmock on the phone here. Was this forward? I thought it looked okay.
Oh, you're kidding.
That's a rough call for them.
Rough call.
Locks, pull them together, Locks. Ball in half. Let's wait for the ball to come in, boys. Out.
Jason Robinson ordering the scrum, and we'll have it again. Well, I'm not sure how many people came through the turnstiles here today to watch scrums, but we will have it again, and Marshall will have to bring it back.
And as they bring the scrum back as well, Costo, Nathan Fien coming off it, and Isaac Luke coming into the game. You talk about speed around the ruck, you bring in Adam, the likes of Eastwood and Luke. It's a mobile pack out there.
Okay, seconds down.
Just on Luke, remember speaking to him at the cricket ground back in May, and I hope he's had a bath since then. He said to me that he hadn't washed his hands after meeting Wayne Bennett. A handshake from heaven, if you like. And there's certainly been a revelation for the Rabbitohs, and certainly for the Kiwis. And we've got some light rain beginning to fall here at Mount Smart, as we see the newlywed Epalahami Lauaki look to punch a hole or 2. Backed up by Manu. Willie Manu will play it 9 metres. Kiwi away. And then Tonga now looking to control the football, to put some pressure on New Zealand. Fair run it was from Feletti Mateo. Now the last has been signalled. Who's the go-to man here? They launch a kick off the boot of Eddie Paya, and a big test at the back, but it's a penalty. Mid-air tackle, Perrott.
And he was offside.
In fact, you could take it on both counts. Mid-air tackle, offside, take your pick. But Perrott was on a hiding to nothing, and Talanoa, rightly so, has been penalised.
Paya looking for a chase from the outside, but it was Tanaloa who comes up from inside him. He was offside and he grabs him in the air. Not quite there to contest the football. Catches the man as he comes down with it.
3-0 is the penalty count, favouring the home side. And the Kiwis find the line, 25 out from their own goal line. And here's Eastwood on tackle 1.
That one. Move! Get square!
He's confirming that change. In relation to Mawaki. Smith, first receiver, just handing it on to Fa'alongo. They come back to the left side. Luluwai jigging and weaving, going straight up Main Street. And luckily for Tonga, Tavita Leo Latu was there to make the tackle. Here's Luke. Pocket battleship from Redfern. 12 before the break. The Kiwis probing for try number 4. Crossfield kick. And it's bounced into the hands of Marshall. Oh, here we go. Another try for the Kiwis. And Ropati gets it across the line, although the referee isn't too convinced. But so far, so good for Stephen Kearney and the Kiwis.
After a bust up the middle, the ball for our half, and Thomas Luluai tests his short kicking game. I don't know if this kick was meant to go right across to the far side. He kicks it pretty much into the channel, about 15 metres in from the left-hand touch. It's not all that high, and up they go. Who's got the first hand to it? Well, you'd have to say Emilio, or Cooper Vuna, should I say, has got his hand to it first, and then Benji Marshall. I thought he should have passed that. Tony Williams could have gobbled him up. Certainly a Tonga hand there. Benji picks it up clean. Knows the try line's just here. Doesn't mind a show and go. Costo does our Benji.
He loves it. And I think this is fairly conclusive that it's come off the hands of Cooper Vuna. Marshall controlling the ball. And of course the video referee, for those new to our game, cannot rule on forward passes. Not that there was any suggestion on that occasion. So it all looks good for the Kiwis. David Pakiito has the call here at Mount Smart. Video referee, former test referee, and he likes what he sees. We've got a green light. And another 4 points to the man who's wearing jersey number 4 in the black. It's the Kiwis coasting at 20 points to
their weight of possession. 70% the Kiwis have had, just a 30% for Tonga. They get their end of their kicking game right. Up it goes. They contest it. Saar did all the work. Benji nearly blew it. And Rope Party, well, he doesn't get too many easier from 1 metre out. But nice to get to the end of the set of 6 and let the guys have a contest on the back of it.
Jerome Roparty's try, the cue for a deterioration in the weather. A little bit more rain now coming across the ground here in suburban Penrose. 2 from 3 thus far for Inu. And from close range, he should be able to throw this one over. And he converts Roparty's try. The fans taking shelter from the elements at 22 points to 0.
This game's all about getting ready. It's about preparation for the World Cup. And at the moment, they're doing everything that you would expect them to do. With all the stats in their favour, they're controlling the game. They're getting the points when they should. The class of Benji, absolutely outstanding. When you talk about prep, well, you now get the weather coming into play as well.
Well, here we go. Away goes Inu, playing to the whistle. And so too is Isaac Luke. Well, I get 10 out of 10 for acting. The advantage rule doesn't apply in this case.
He's caught the ball without it going 10, so penalty.
And fair enough too. I think even the Tongans can see the funny side of this.
Well, the ruling is this: they go for the short kick-off. The ball hasn't actually travelled the 10 metres, so whoever touches it first in that 10-metre zone gets a penalty against him. It was a shocker of a kick. It's into the breeze as well, and the rain coaster, whatever we want to go in there. Great opportunity. Off he goes. I thought he would have had the pace here to go on his own too, but he slows up near the end. Thinking he's going to hand over a try.
But disappointing we didn't read that as well. 9 that it hadn't gone the 10. Leave it alone.
So let's see if Tonga can make something of this. 9.5 before Oranges.
Held to.
And just above 30% of possession. It's a damning statistic in anyone's language. They get a penalty here too.
There it is there.
And if memory serves me right, they're second of the game after what happened from the restart. So here they are, 9 metres away, a chance to pitch the tent to get their scoring underway perhaps. Lawaki. Move! This monster of a forward played the ball with some time coming, and now some zip. There was obstruction there, and fair enough too. Tavita. Well, what was he doing there? It was a huge mix-up.
Hey. Your guys run through and taking out defenders. I don't care about the obstruction.
Eddie Payer arguing the point, but I can tell you what, the referee won't be doing anything except laughing privately, if not publicly, and it was pretty clear cut on the replay.
The thing is, Tavita Latu continued to run. I believe he had passed that ball, the ref would have let it play. So after you've dummied the player on the inside who's come in, if you have taken someone out, let the ball go. I tend to think the player shifted itself far enough away from the ruck not to be a problem. Could have been play on.
4 tries to 0. This is Eastwood. 4 Tongans required to put him on the deck.
DJ, I also get the sense down here that Tonga needs to find someone to take control of this game. Even on that occasion, Tavita Latu coming out, Fletty Mateo has to demand the ball, control the ball. Someone needs to control it.
Well, Eddie Payer is the player who should be heading Tonga around the football field. Unfortunately, lack of possession at the right end of the field hasn't really let them get into an attacking game we know that they can produce. Just changes on the sideline. See Arvin Gutenbiel about to get his boarding pass again. As Party goes through.
Party for the line will get 2 tries himself. Formation. They open up once more, Tonga. Party looking for back-to-back tries. He looks pretty confident.
Only problem will be an obstruction here. Let's have a look where Setha Matasar gets himself, and he goes in front of Road Party. And is that taken out? Yes, it is. He's not entitled to be in front of him. This will get called back. We've sort of obstruction down the other end of the football field as Smith passes the ball. Bang. Saar is not entitled to be in that space right in front of Jerome.
Well, the bottom line is denied the defensive line the opportunity to make the tackle. And I think deep down, Row Party will know that. And if body language says anything, if we look at the wide shot, you can see the Tongans, they're not interested in going into that in goal, and the Kiwis, well, look where they are. So here we go from David Pakiito. Should be fairly straightforward. There we go. It's a red light. No try. Fair enough. It remains at 22-0.
I don't know, gentlemen. Sometimes in this game you tackle on suspicion. So you get a defender who nominates a runner. So he moves up, he gets involved. They shouldn't get the reward as Tonga has got on this occasion.
I think that's 3 consecutive penalties now for Tonga. And boy, oh boy, did they need that or what. Less than 7 to go before half-time. They dearly like before the split. And this is Manakafawa. 5 short of halfway. Mannering involved in the tackle. Luke Lulawai, as we see the loose forward for Tonga. Manu looking to set up. Oh, geez, you don't do that at practice. Why then do it on the field? The defence didn't help his cause. Manu was just buckled over in a terrible fashion. So Mateo now says we'll just chip over the top, but unfortunately for Tonga, it was beautifully read by Perrott. Look at him bring it back to the 20, as easy as you like.
Hasn't had a lot to do. Sammy Perrott out the back there with not a lot of kicks coming his way, but what he has done, he's done particularly well, beating the first defender, many a times. Matai nearly spilling the ball out of dummy half after a good run, but he has got himself involved around the rucks and got in and had a couple of first hit-ups in plenty of the sets. Nathan Kalis on screen, Kiwi captain.
Yes, and a knee problem it is, as I understand. A niggling knee problem. It's the reason why he is a reluctant spectator for this one. He's been wrapped in cotton wool. They've got bigger fish to fry. The Kiwis, this is a very judicious kick. Oh, Talanoa. Again, nowhere to go. It was pinpoint. So a repeat set once more coming up for the men in black.
Nice to see down the left-hand side of the field, Benji Marshall positions himself, puts a good little kick in from 35 out and stops it in goal. Third time Talanoa today has been trapped in goal. 2 other times on the right-hand side of the field, courtesy of another kick from our halfback, but Benji getting his kicking game or short kicking game into gear.
And just for the benefit of our NRL focused audience, we have international rules applying here today. That means you've got 12 interchanges from a coaching point of view. 4 and 12 as opposed to 4 and 10, so hence the movement at the station. The restart, I think, is just gone the 10, and now they've made a meal of it. No, knockback's the call, and luckily for Tonga, they've got the pill. 3 metres out from their own goal line, but only just.
Well, when have you seen a short restart under the post to regain the ball without being down or 5 minutes in, and they've coughed it?
Oh, they're imploding here. There's the interchange count. Half a dozen for Tonga already. They must be surely running low on petrol, approaching half-time. Less than 4 to go before the break. Eastwood was fixed up. They need to hold firm here, Tonga. And Guttenbeil, of all people, will realise that. Marshall, cut-out pass for Ropati. Denied a moment ago, his second. This time he shut down, and only just making the tackle was Boona. On their own goal line, Tonga. Marshall back to Smith, storming towards the goal line, where he is repelled. Now we've got a penalty.
He's gone over the top, pulled his head back, get him down.
Hawaki's the man who's been pinged there, just searching too high. Putting to Robinson.
He's still kind of take the head, mate.
Attacking the head is the call. That's the clarification there that Guttenbeil was seeking, probably looking to just to get a few more bits of air into those lungs. Gauge must be on E, surely for Tonga. This is Smith. Luke at dummy half. His options left and right. He goes the latter. He links up with Marshall. Mannering on the receiving end of that ball. More pressure here on Tonga. Eastwood at first receiver. Now to Marshall. Crossfield kick, oh, it's been gobbled up. Good work. Boona's away. He snuffed it out. And he brings it away from the danger end. So Tonga, with Talanoa now, is picked off by the Kiwis. Wrestled to ground. Some of their outside men now will surely have to come in to help out these tiring Tongan forwards.
Give a rep to the Tongan defence there. Benji brought it back across to the left-hand side, and this edge pushed up well. Latu, a dummy half. Tony Williams comes in to get some running into his legs.
You talk about recognising the defensive efforts. Have a look at the captain for the Kiwis, Jeremy Smith. His impact is absolutely spot on. It's outstanding. Plenty of effort in there. He's having a wonderful game. You talk about captain's knock. Stunning.
There he is. Just on cue, he's not looking the best, Peter, but anyway, it's a fair rap.
Let's not forget he just got married as well, so maybe that's the after effects.
Won't be going there, thank you, Ropo, as we see the Kiwis with Matai. Oh, he's flicked it out on the right side. He links up with Inu. Plenty of whack, plenty of creativity. He's a wonderful player, Matai, and certainly played a huge role in that record-breaking win by the Manly Sea Eagles in the grand final. Fa'alongo goes to ground inside the final 60 seconds of the opening stanza. Luke hands it on to Luluwine. It chips over the top into no man's land, but it's a kind bounce, a real good bounce, in fact, for the Tongan winger back there in Tonga. And half-time for the visitors can't come soon enough. They've done pretty well, in fact, to restrict the Kiwis to 22-0, given the amount of ammo that the men in black have enjoyed in the first half. Awaki says we'll try our luck on the blind side. He links up with Vuna before he centralises play. And now zipping away out of dummy half, the hooker, Tavita Leo Latu, and they get some second phase going. Mickey Taya, brother Lapini, missing this one because of injury. Talanoa's got the ball. The siren has sounded in the background, and that should see us out. Well, just like that, Talanoa thought he was Inspector Gadget, getting the arms extended a couple of times. Referee Robinson says, let's head to the sheds, boys. And at half-time, in the first ever Peter Leach QSM Pacific Challenge, this World Cup warm-up game, it's the Kiwis doing it nicely against Tonga at 22-0. Stick with us. First half highlights and more on the other side of this.
Time at Mount Smart Stadium in this Peter Leach QSM Pacific Challenge trophy game between the Kiwis and Tonga, and it's the Kiwis leading 22-0. A stirring start to this match with the two challenges laid down and then everybody into it, Pete, and it really did sort of set the momentum up. And some brutal defence early from Steve Maddai, testing that shoulder out, and then away come the Kiwis on the back of that first great pass from Benji Marshall.
But right from the outset, what you've got is a Kiwi side that has done perhaps what they've focused on throughout the week, and that's about controlling the game. Plenty of possession coming their way, and they've certainly treasured everything. Like the work rate that's going on at their captain this afternoon, debutant in terms of captaincy role, Jeremy Smith. I think he's been outstanding, operating at both ends, certainly playing in the middle as a ruck band. Adam Blair being able to poke his nose through, plenty of offloads, and just testing the honesty of the Tongan defensive line. And at times they're in all sorts of bother. They're shaped total disarray. They've been committed to go inside, then all of a sudden the likes of Benji, they just get smart and they play the ball. They have plenty of vision.
And look, the one good thing that has come out of this first half, which was what they wanted to work on, as Stephen Kearney told us on prime time, their completion rate is up around 73%. Again, as the All Golds last week, it was running at around 63%, something not enough, but the amount of tackles being done by the Tongans is certainly going to hurt them at the back end.
Well, and those tackles are on the back of a game which is about offloads. You look at the Kiwis there, 11-4. You know, Jeremy Smith particularly is a guy that's been able to throw plenty at them, keeping it alive, pushing it out the back.
Well, I feel like we've just got a couple of minders in here as we look inside the Kiwis dressing room and then go inside the Tongan dressing room. A little bit quiet now because they know they've got a lot of work to do. Today, a special day for the Tongan community, of course, with your Uncle George, man, the late Uncle George. Dwayne, nice to see him beside me, of course, the returning Clinton Torpy. Mate, you could have dressed up for us at least.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, just a bit casual. So.
Hey, nice to have you back in the country. What's going on? No more at Leeds, so what's the plan?
I'm just leaving it to my manager, Peter Brown. He's
drinking beer right now.
Yeah, he's looking after Lion Red, but really thinking of going over to the other code and trying rugby, giving it a punt.
Really? What's the attraction apart from that they do offer more cash in some areas?
I just, you know, for me, a new challenge, you know, something different, and I'm really wanting to see, you know, what all the hype is about, and I don't know, yeah, I'm just at that stage of my life where, you know, it's a good time to try something different.
Always good to see you. Stay there because you got to...
I was about to say, don't worry about the style. You're looking...
What about the hype schmipe, though?
Yeah,
hype and rugger?
Dwayne, a lot was made pre-match about the Tongan performance back in '95. It's a far cry from that this afternoon.
Well, that was 13 years ago, and a lot has passed under the bridge between then. Jim Dimmock would be disappointed with the Tongan team. Their defensive effort on the first set was okay, but attacking-wise, they've been lacking, and they haven't had anything on their play the balls. They've had very little on their kick in terms of getting pressure off it, so pretty disappointing for the Tongans.
Feleti Mateo, lots expected of him. He's certainly shown at the back end of the season with Parramatta. He's a star.
Yeah, he is a star, and look, he's just not able to get his hands on the ball enough. He needs to dominate and get it, and although he's had some glimpses there, they've made too many errors, so losing the ball on the first tackle from scrum returns, getting a little bit off bunched on around the ruck on play the ball carry. So they need to just be able to sort of maybe start with him touching the ball more and him running.
And what do you make of the Kiwi performance so far?
Oh, Kiwis have been great. I think they've been really good. Probably only one area where they need to tidy up on is being able to push up on support. They've poked their nose through the line a few times. They need to just push up because there's going to be more opportunities as the second half rolls on.
Well, of course, they're good to have Dwayne in here because his uncle, the late George William Mann, the Tongan player of the day, picks up the George William Mann medal, which is another first in this Pacific Challenge here. So suddenly you've got the... OK, now we can see your face. You look at the Kiwis, and what do you make of them? I know you might have loved to have been out there. You've done that before, but the Kiwis and the halves, what's impressed you?
Oh, I'm liking the fact that they're playing tough, and you know, a lot of the young guys are stepping up, and they're looking pretty dominant out there. And I think they can, you know, from last week's game, you know, they can carry that on and really put Tongans away the second half. But I'm hoping that Tonga can come back and really stand up. You know, this is their first hit out, and I just hope for their sake that, you know, they can go with some confidence.
I know you're reasonably fresh, sorry, Clinton, out of Super League, because a lot of people are thinking that maybe England could be the fly in the ointment of Australia and New Zealand if they are the two favourites, 1 and 2. From what you see in the English rugby league right now, are they going to be a real contender?
Oh yeah, I think so, and I hope so. You know, just for Super League's sake, you know, up there they tend to play a bit more entertaining footy, and I'm hoping that, you know, with the squad that they got, that they can, you know, present that in the World Cup.
All right, Clinton, thanks for your time. Always good to see you, mate. Family good?
Definitely, yeah. Hello to my wife and that in Whakatane. So.
He's still got it all down as we remind you of Prime Time Special coming up. Looking forward to every squad and all the business of the Rugby League World Cup, which starts exclusively on October the 25th. Yes, Australia versus New Zealand will also bring you France and Scotland in that early match too, so it's going to be a big old night. It starts the big one live on Sky Sport 1 at 9:30 live from the Sydney Football Stadium.
Dwayne, a lot's been made of the World Cup. You saw the All Golds perform last week, a lot involved here this afternoon. Travelling in the right direction?
Yes, they are. I think the Kiwis have picked a very strong squad, and not just the 17, but balance off the bench and from those blokes not playing today. They'll be very good for these two games going into the World Cup.
When you look at England, you heard Clinton talk about them. Do you see them as a real threat?
I do, but unfortunately for England, playing Papua New Guinea in the first game up in Townsville, that will be a killer, and they won't come through that game unscathed.
All right, yeah, that will. Papua New Guinea and Townsville, and they like to play in a lot of heat. Nice warm afternoon, bit of rain has been across the ground, but the Tongan community out in force, but they trailed 22-0. More on the other side, live. Welcome back to Mount Smart Stadium, where the Tongan supporters, well, they have had some wind taken out of their sails in the first half. The Kiwis looking to ramp it up in the second half, no doubt. They're coasting at 22-0 here in this inaugural Peter Leach QSM Pacific Challenge, despite the absence of some key men out wide. Vatuve, Hohaia, I referred to, and of course, Kalis in the middle. All missing today's game because of injury, being rested ahead of the World Cup, which starts in 7 days from now.
A couple of local favourites in Manu Vatuvai there and Louis Anderson. Louis also was named in this Tongan side, so they're sharing a friendly viewing of the game before Louis had to pull out from injury. The second half bodes to be a pretty entertaining affair, as Tonga will have the assistance of a pretty handy breeze at their back, so that will assist them hopefully in a kicking game and give them some sort of field position. New Zealand's defence hasn't been tested so far. The Tongan front row made close to 80 tackles between 3 of them, and Confuci only had about 3 of them to his name before he got replaced. That man on screen there, Gutenbill, well, he was leading their tackle count, as you'd expect, with 20 or 30. And for New Zealand, well, the front rows and the forwards haven't had to do too much tackling, with Jerome Ropati leading the hit up for the tackle count with 14. So if Tonga can hold the football, test the New Zealand defensive line, I'm sure they can. We'll see what the New Zealand defensive situation will look like.
All right, let's go sideline and hear from the Tongan coach. He's standing by with Roto.
Jimmy, I'm sure a bit more football would help.
Oh, definitely. I thought New Zealand, they had plenty of the ball, and what they done with it, the good kick chase, plenty of repeat sets, and we didn't get much of the ball, and when we did get it, we didn't do a lot with it. So the key instruction to your side at halftime? Oh, let's just try and get the ball and play a bit of field position like New Zealand did. We've got the wind out of our back, so yeah, but you can't rely on that. Hopefully we put in a better performance this half.
Well, good luck, bud.
Thanks, Pete.
Well, they'll need that and then some, and they need to start well. You don't have to be Einstein to work that out. So here we are. Robinson says, let's get back to work. Off the boot of Inu. Tonga, first use of the ball in his second stanza, with a mountain to climb in many ways at 22-0. They haven't been in the contest from the get-go, as we see a penalty straight away to the Tongans. We go sideline once more. Special guest in the form of Dean Bell.
Dino, you got to be pretty happy with that first half of footy?
Yeah, for most of it, I thought we played pretty well. Boys were completing the majority of their sets. Showing a lot of enthusiasm in defence. I think that's what we were after.
Well, on the back end of last week, perhaps a key focus was about control and you achieving that. What's Steve Kearney looking for the second half?
Well, he's looking for an improvement, believe it or not, in that department. We had a 68% completion rate. Our target was higher than that, so that's something that we've got to work on. But also, it's maintaining that enthusiasm. I think that's really important, especially against a good Tongan side. I mean, we've had the majority of the ball at the moment, so if they get a bit of the pill, we better watch ourselves. And as a former captain, you captain on the black, Jeremy Smith, he's doing good. Yeah, he's doing great. He's leading by example, and that's what the best captains do. Cheers, buddy.
Yes, now thanks to Dean Bell, one of the all-time Kiwi greats, now football manager for the national side. And look at this, Tonga. Tackle 5, 7 metres away. What have they got here on the fifth and final kick? Well, it's a dud kick. It's gobbled up at the back by Isaac Luke, who was Johnny on the spot. But look at this. They come from all over the shop to put him into the end goal. They'll get it back. So luckily for Tonga, it works out okay.
Great work by Luke to tidy it up. You called it a dud kick. Eddie Pye has grabbed this football and just put a little chip up. Nearly hit the crossbar. I'm interested to see where Luke was when he took the football. Yes, he was in the field of play. Then he lands inside, right under the horns, tries to get around the corner. That kick ended up being a very good one. They get a repeat set.
Thanks to Luke staying upright, they made sure of it going into that end goal. And Tonga now with a repeat set. It's been as rare as the dodo in this match. Owaki winding up as the little windsock at the back of the mop of hair. And now they seemingly are on a bit of a roll. Moa will rise to play the football. Try here would be just what the doctor ordered, what the game desperately needs. The ball was at a dud kick this time. It's come back. They've got it back somehow, and it's 6 to go, is it? No, not quite. Tonga, though, still in possession. Paya, a dummy, back on the inside. Mickey Paya. Now the last. Eddie Paya. They keep it going. Mateo looking to set it up. Jennings, there's the ball. There was the money ball, but it goes to ground. Stacks on the mill, and 6 to go. Don't go anywhere. The Kiwis here under the pump for the first time in this match. And they've got some walking wounded going from close range. I think Tonga's got the try here. Bodies everywhere. And I think it might be, is it Cooper Vuna, who's claimed 4 points.
Great football. This is what Tonga can bring to the table. Latu on screen, I thought he had butchered it earlier in the play. He went on his own when they had great structure out to the left-hand side. But they got it out there anyway. They got it out to Mateo. This is the end of it. Well, you'd have to suggest, I'll give that a try.
Was Tavita
Leo Latu.
Yeah, his new name since he's come back to this part of the world. I reckon he's been held up. There were bodies everywhere. And there seems to be an arm under the Steeden.
No way, Costo. Only a part of the football has to touch the grass.
Yeah, but which part touches the turf?
plenty
you
of
tell me.
You don't see it, but there would be plenty of football there right now as it's compressed, touching the football, unless the grass is half a millimetre long.
I'm not sure if everyone would agree with that. David Pakiito has the call. He's the video referee by himself today. Certainly an arm under the ball or thereabouts, at least for some time. Leo Latu, former Warrior. With a fancy hairstyle. Looking to get Tonga on the board. No try. He was held up.
Wait there, wait there. Wait.
Still got possession though. Some heckling for the match officials from this pro-Tongan crowd. So still only tackled 2.
Stay up, Tommy.
And a chance for the Tongans to catch their breath. Teo still going. In fact, it's Manu, I beg your pardon. He'll play it back. They go the right side. Now it's Mateo looking to set it up. Lawaki, he pops it out the back door. Quick hands. Werner keeps it going. Williams is a powerhouse. Back on the inside. And the Kiwis have got it. Now they're driven into the end goal. And yes, 6 more coming up for Tonga. And fair enough. The pass on the inside went backwards. Hence Robinson said play on. They will get it back from the goal line restart.
Feliti Mateo, he was the one who gave Jennings the ball down on his left-hand side, and there, that flick over, well, it's just beautiful. Big Tony Williams has a charge at the line. Benji Marshall does his best. And what about the ball inside? He nearly threw it around the corner post. From here, they pick the Kiwi up and drive him right back in. And we said if Tonga could get some football, they'll show us what they've got. Well, they're getting plenty of it to start the second half.
And Tonga's got the ball, but only just. And it's Leo Latu, who did very well given the circumstances. And now Vuna beats 1, beats 2, does he? Oh, he's planted the ball. Cooper Vuna, take a bow. He's exploded like a rocket out of the blocks and planted the football. And the fans come to life at Mount Smart. Tonga's on the board at 22-4.
It's come to life, as is Costo. Great play. The short restart from Christian Inu. A couple of touches from Latu. We know this guy runs hard, Vuna. He's done it for Newcastle all year. Outstanding in the left centre position for Newcastle. And here was the kick. Christian Inu thought he could get there. Watch Latu, picks it up. I thought he was going to dive. He shifts it across to the right. And right here, takes the tackle, and then the run from dummy half. Bang, gets rid of Jerome Ropati. The rest of the Kiwis don't come off their line, and that'll concern Stephen Kearney. They were left with their heels on their line. We wanted to see the defence of the New Zealand side and how it would work. And Vuna, he did well.
Cooper Vuna made his debut, first grade debut for the Warriors back in 04. And now getting a much-needed try for Tonga. And the kick at goal from Eddie Paya is waved away. Disappointment on his face, but an encouraging sign for the Tongans at 22 points to 4.
DJ, you touched on the defensive line of the Kiwis. Well, disappointing to Stephen Kearney, particularly because as what we heard from Dean Bell, what he was looking for in the second half was all about enthusiasm. Enthusiasm with the ball and without the ball. But don't you love that when the Pacific Nations come to play, they focus on each individual play. Score a try, it's like winning a grand final. They love it. Come up with a big hit. It's a try-saving hit. They love it.
How's that for a big stat? 34 blot. That's the tackle count. Tonga has had a glut of possession in this second half, but just on cue, the commentator's curse has struck Chook. They've copped it up here. They needed to get through their set to their kick, well, they have failed to do so.
I might have a problem with this one. Trying to offload the ball player in the tackle, and there Isaac Lukes had a rake at the ball.
He's had a fair chop at it.
So, do we get the feed to the ref?
There's a few people in the game that would like to see that. There's plenty that would be aghast at the prospect. Here's Rowe Party. One of those calls that perhaps could have gone either way, but Ito, the video referee, obviously deciding not to tip off the man downstairs. And now we've got New Zealand with the chance to extend the margin. 3 converted tries in this one, 7.5 gone in the second stanza. They go to Marshall, where he's monstered by the Tongan defence, dealt with. No holds barred play that was, and Tonga, as a result, come away with the ball following the spill. And this is Jennings from the Panthers. Now the other winger, Tonga, from the Gold Coast Titans. Great young talent coming through the ranks. And now a penalty to Tonga. David Fa'alongo, the man who was the offender. And all of a sudden, look at that, Chook, 5-5 the penalty count. It was one-way traffic early on.
These 15-minute half-time breaks are going to suit a lot of these Polynesian teams at the World Cup. I know it's going to be humid over there in Australia, but normally only 10 minutes at half-time. 15 gives you a bit more of a breather, allows you to take a bit more petrol on board. And if you hold the football like these guys have, you watch him go, Moa. Away he goes. Didn't get a start till the second half. He's had a couple of good runs.
Yes, half-time in the NRL, normally 12 minutes. Although we saw something out of the ordinary when the Warriors went to Melbourne at the start of this year. Look at this, some second phase, keeping the ball alive. The Tongans, this is Mickey Paya. 11-11 is the offload count. The Tongans come this left side now with Eddie Paya, the 7, linking up with Willie Manu. And he's still going, having a dig. 16 metres away, make that 15. He shortens the 10. That pass was flat, maybe forward. No, says the referee. And Guttenbeil, that's the try line you can see. Here's the last. What have they got? Mateo, a little dab. Oh, the try's gone begging. Michael Jennings. It was a tough ask to pick up the pill, but he's coughed it up. And a near thing for the Kiwis.
I half expected Jennings to pick this up. He is a brilliant player. The kick from Mateo was right there. On the bounce, if he was onside, it would have been spectacular. But you watch this guy play as Tonga get more and more football. He's an excitement machine.
Game that certainly failed to reach any dizzy heights in the opening half. It's an understatement now. We've got less than half an hour to go. Mathematically, Tonga still in it, though, as we see a fine run out of dummy half from this jack-in-the-box from the Rabbitohs, Isaac Luke. And the Kiwis already now crossing halfway. Feen with his boarding pass. Can't wait to get back into it. And now Matai will rise to play the football. 5th and final's been signalled by Robinson. They go to Luluwai. There's the kick. Keeps it on the carpet. It bounces up nicely here for Tuli. Talanoa has had a lot of work to do at the back today. That has got to be a strip. And fair enough too. Robinson didn't miss it. And the Tongans get the penalty after all that.
Well, this hurts. They just got back to a structured set of 6, the Kiwis, and put the ball in behind. Tanaloa brings it back off his line, and they give away a penalty. In the first half, the repeat sets managed them to get all the tries. Oh no, Tonga haven't found touch. Sammy Perrott picks it up, and he'll bring the ball back.
And we'll hear more about that in the Tongan dressing room later on. One of the real basics of rugby league, failing to find touch. My goodness, an invitation for the Kiwis to put the Tongans out of business.
And also a good opportunity for Thomas Luluwai with Jeremy Smith off. He takes over the captaincy.
The Kiwis now with Saar, among the try scorers in the first half. He plays it back and they go across to Marshall, back on the inside. And New Zealand now with Sikamanu. What about that tackle he put on Ashton Sims in the NRL finals? A memorable game for Melbourne, not so memorable for all you Bronco fans. Here's Luluwai, deputising for Smith, as Peter says. And now Mannering surging towards the goal line, stopped in his tracks. So, on the last, Feen with a dab in behind the upright, and Lawaki, this big unit back there, what's he doing? Grazing, He's got the ball, and that's what counts.
I'll tell you what he is doing. He is composed, Lauaki. This was not an easy take. It was coming. I thought it would have been an outside back. New Zealand quite happy to just dab it in behind the line. It was a good kick from Feen. Puts it off the outside of his boot. He's got the goalpost to contend with as well. Picks it up like he's an accomplished fullback. He might be living with Wade McKinnon.
Wade's grocery bill must be going up. Restart for the Tongans from under their own uprights. 55 on the fly. Lulawan with the catch. So New Zealand now on tackle one, 38 metres out from the Tongan goal line. Playing it back is Fa'alongo, and now they keep it going. Eastwood, such a versatile player, can fill a variety of positions. Coach's delight as Manu plays it back. And now New Zealand again showing some creativity. Eastwood's away, great ball, shut the gate. Benji Marshall backing up like a classic 5'8" in the mould of the great Terry Lamb, if you like. Support play, 10 out of 10. And it's 26-4 after that.
We've just given Lauaki a huge rap. Will they give him a workover in the ruck? You watch him. Benji Marshall inside to Eastwood. He'll get it back. Benji looks around on the outside. Eastwood did all the work right through the middle of the ruck off the inside ball from Marshall to start with, and then replayed the compliment with Marshall backing up. Picks up the try. Good work. Totally worked over in the ruck with an inside ball. And after giving Lauaki a rap, he gets burnt in the middle.
It wouldn't be the only one. Benji Marshall has exposed over the years. Scheming best he was in the opening exchanges to get the Kiwis off to a very good start. Chris and Inu, his easiest shot at goal of the afternoon. Disappointing year at club level in the blue and gold of Parramatta. Straight over the black dot. Another 2 to the tally. And it's now 28 points to 4.
Going into a World Cup, you're looking for players to come into your squad, players that can cover a number of positions, while Greg Eastwood playing the forwards, playing the centres, equally as competent in either. And there's Benji Marshall coming up with a try this time. I was reminded at half-time, all the long passes, while they're courtesy of his education at Whakatane High.
So much for Kibra Park's tuition, Peter. Kiwis with the ball in hand, with Fa'alongo on tackle one. Tonga now need to muscle up once more. We're still a long way from home, and this scoreboard could easily blow out. This match in stark contrast to what we saw in the north of England at Wilderspool, Warrington back in '95, when it was one Matthew Ridge, the trusty boot of Ridge, that got the Kiwis home in a thriller. This is the first meeting of the two sides for almost a decade. It's a pretty good set here from New Zealand, turning the Tongans around. And Tonga is back there to clean up for the visitors. Kalanoa. Easy prey. We really need a spark here, the Tongans. Jeremy Smith, debutant captain today in the absence of Kalis, getting a well-deserved spell and rub. Maybe a few tips as well from the man who knows all about captaincy, Nathan Kalis. And now we see a mistake from the Tongans.
But Owen's not conforming.
And I don't have to tell you what Owen Guttenbeil was thinking or saying just there.
Feliti Mateo went off in the background as well. It's a pretty ordinary pass, reaching in behind the left shoulder. Ball going to ground. They argued whether it went forward or not. But after a great opening period to the second spell, this Tongan side is missing out on some football, practicing their defence again for the last couple of sets, and that's taken its toll.
The Kiwis now with Matai. 31 metres out from the Tongan goal line. Set off. Last time he played on this side of the ditch in a Kiwi jumper. 4 changes left for Dimmick. Half a dozen for Kearney. So we see the Kiwis with some razzle-dazzle. Mannering, Matai, there's the kick. It's come off one of the Tongans. Was it played at? We wait the call here from Jason Robinson.
Come off the foot of Fileti Mateo, I'd imagine. Right there.
He's put it out.
Soccer.
No, he's put it out for sure. So Tongans want to soak up some more pressure here. 22 to go. Drums again beating in the background at Mount Smart. Marshall. No show and go this time. He goes to Ropati. And he goes through some paper-thin defence. Marshmallow-like defence. And Ropati gets his second of the afternoon. And a blowout is on the cards at 32-4.
Jerome Ropati, we know how strong he is at running at the line. Well, here he goes between Paya and also Emilio. Just puts Emilio on his heels. Just enough to guess him. You watch this. He'll drop him off there on the inside, and right there, he just dropped off for half a second. Jerome sees the opportunity and pushes through, then just swerves a little bit to get rid of Eddie Paya. But set up with good structure. They had them out wide. A little bit of attention from Marshall. When he does run the football across the field and hold it out in front of him, you do not know where it's going. And Jerome, good enough to take advantage of it.
Well, that try to Marshall a moment ago certainly took the stuffing out of the Tongans. And that one by Ropati, I think, just about crucified them. Could get worse, a lot worse. Krishnan Inu.
There's a smile.
Yeah, it's characteristic, isn't it? Krishnan Inu become a real crowd favourite in Sydney's Golden West. He misses on this occasion. So it remains New Zealand 32-4 over Tonga.
DJ, you're so right. When Benji gets the ball in hand and runs across the face of the ruck, you're not quite sure what's going to come out of it. But so important that the defensive line holds his shape. Not the first time this afternoon that Emilio's been caught on the inside, just clocking off.
Speaking of clock, we move into the final quarter of the contest. Bringing it back for the Kiwis. Sam Rapira. Almost up to the 20. Tackle 1. Perrott. There's the missed tackle count, mounting horribly. Tongans.
I might have mentioned Perrott in the first half and his involvement. He leads the hit-ups, would you believe? All those little runs out of them, sorties out of dummy half for 14. Brilliant. Eastwood away again.
Eastwood chopped down, but only just. Making the tackle was Sam Moa. And look at this. Look at this. Nightingale back to Lulawai. And he goes in, and this is becoming a carve-up. The Tongans have clocked off. The Kiwis are on a mission en route to the World Cup. It's 36-4 with a kick to come.
Simple runs out of dummy half, gets the ball rolling, and then Eastwood, who's been handy in his touches, gets a good quick play the ball, and away they go. They count numbers. Good ball to Nightingale from Fiend, and here, Hohaya, he's not going to... Not so much Ohio, sorry. Thomas Luluai, he scores that try 15 metres out, just waiting for the pass. Nightingale did well. I was wondering whether Jason might have had a crack, put a swerve on or something. Jennings comes over the top, try and knock the ball out, but right up the middle of the field, right from the 40-metre mark, a couple of scoots. The play the ball's too quick. The try under the post.
Thomas Luluai out of the Wigan Warriors. Adding to Tonga's woes from the City Club of the Ponsonby Ponies. Matai, who, as we said earlier on the telecast today, showed his goal-kicking prowess as recently as the grand final and the big dance and that big romp by Manly, and we've got another romp here. 38 points to 4.
The Kiwis a little dusty the way they started the second half, with the Tongans being able to enjoy a little bit of possession, but they found their way back, and that's about taking control of the middle. Eastwood coming off the bench, been absolutely outstanding, contributing to the last 2 tries. He's now getting a spell with Adam Blair coming on, and there's a slow start. But it's good when you look at the bench and you look at the players who come on. They don't just fill the numbers, they add a little bit more, and they keep the momentum going.
They call that a mulligans or something, don't they?
Well, it was rather comical for a fleeting moment. Not so comical for the Tongan fans when they look over that scoreboard. One of the few things they've been able to smile about during this contest, the inaugural Peter Leach QSM Pacific Challenge. The George William Mann Medal will go to the Tongan Player of the Match. It's been struck in honour of George Mann Senior, as selected by former Kiwi coach Tony Kemp. A few players out there still battling towards the death for the Tongans, vying for that medal, as we see Talanoa retrieve the football. Look at the reception committee. They pick him off. He goes to ground just 4 metres out from his own goal line. They are relentless, the men in black. Tonga picked off quite easily by Mannering. What a player he has become, an 80-minute player. A real luxury in the modern game. They also, is it back? Tonga now, looking for a spark with 16 to go, looking to take something out of this tournament. They take on the Irish in their first game of the World Cup. They kick on the last, and it's taken cleanly on the full by Nightingale. A reminder to our New Zealand audience, all games in the World Cup of 2008, exclusively live on Sky Sport. Check your guides for the telecast times. A little bit of niggle there in back play.
David and Goliath, Lauaki, Nightingale.
And now Matai looking to go through the other side. Guttenbeil around the bootlaces. The captain backpedaling, and he's not alone. Marshall, here we go again. And on the end of this, Inu is put away. And a piggyback ride for Talanoa. And a little bit of resentment after that. We'll stick with the action, and this is Marshall looking to bamboozle the Tongan defence. Over the top she goes, back on the inside from Saar, and the Kiwis are in again, and Ropati, he's going to have a party. He gets a hat-trick.
Two brilliant touches from Benji Marshall. First on the right-hand side of the field with some quick hands, set them away, and Inu down the right-hand flank, and then when Benji Marshall gets a football again, the very next play in the middle of the football field, he's got nowhere to go. That was the quick hands, put Mannering away, who in turn will put Inu away. Thought Inu might have had a crack at going himself, but he took the tackle, and then they brought it across to the left. And right here, you watch Benji Marshall, he wants to find something in the middle of the field, he can't, and then he stops and throws a big 25-metre pass right on the mark to Saar, does a quick party, and he'll have a party, all right. He's got 3.
Well, he needs one more to equal the record. Brian Jallick, in fact, for the Kiwis, holds that honour. Bagged 4 at Carlaw Park, one of the great venues that place was in International Rugby League. My travels around the world, the greatest game of all. It was a real thrill to go there. Fans packed in nice and tight. Jallick got 4 when these two sides last met. That was way back in '99, the same game that the little general, Stacey Jones, suffered that broken arm. Matai, still very much in the infancy of his international career. Here he is, from the eastern side of the ground, and he has got it. Up go the flags. And the Kiwis are closing in on the half century. They lead by 40 against Tonga.
You know you're controlling the game when you're playing width, when you go to the right end and then you go back to the left. And there's that Whakatane pass again. That's the touchback round coming through. And yeah, guys, you're killing me with you. We're going to have a party. Haven't we heard it before?
Oh, well, your family might have.
You're sweating on the invite, I know.
There'll be no gate crashing at that party. And New Zealand, look at this, keeping the ball alive. Perrott looking to elude those red jumpers, working overtime in defence. Eddie Payer, he needs some help, he needs it now. Here's Marshall, who's been most creative today in a back slamming tackle. This on Sikamanu. He's been told that Matai is getting a spell. Oh, great ball around the corner from Blair, and it's going to be finished off, is it? Mannering has got the pace. He motors towards the goal line, and this 80-minute back rower dots down, and the Kiwis in a moment or two will clock up the half-century against Tonga.
Once again, a simple off-road around the middle of the field. Rapera hits it up. Right there, offloads the football. And Sikamanu is a person I was about to give a rap to as we see the ball from Blair. I was wondering if Mannering had the pace, and he certainly did. The ankle tap from Tonga, all too late, or the attempted one. Some brilliant offloads at the start of the game from Blair and also Smith. And he gets that right-hand carry going again around the player. And one pass later, Mannering gets the rewards.
3 tries in the last 7 minutes, Mannering the most recent of them. And with this conversion, it will bring up the 50. Inu has got the kicking duties back with him now. A couple of misses for him this afternoon. Full time for Tonga. They're not come soon enough. There you have it. He could have kicked that blindfolded almost. 50-4. Kafusi a casualty for Tonga. And the scoreboard for them makes for ugly reading.
But perhaps an insight into where we might see the Kiwi success if they are to find glory in the World Cup. And that's about the performance of the guys now being called the ruckmen, the likes of Sikamanu, Adam Blair, Jeremy Smith, the ability to play in the middle, play on the edge, and also find an offload in their game.
No shortage of ruckmen in Melbourne. Smith's back on for this final fling, the last 10 minutes. Perrott wrapped up by the Tongans. Leo Latu working feverishly in defence. Get the impression that the men in black are far from done here. Mannering gets a spell, a well-deserved one after scoring that try. Go across to Saar, and there's the kick in behind the line. Who will sleep well tonight. Running across the ground like a Moreton Bay mud crab. Now he finds the compass. And finally goes to grip.
Did well. At the attention of plenty of the Kiwi players. Nightingale tracked them all the way across there as big Tony Williams gets himself back into the game. There's still plenty of football left, 10 minutes to go. We're just 9 to go in this match as Gutenbiel done a mountain of defence today. 35 tackles.
Manikafoa in 22 slowly gets to his feet. And now a clearing kick. And a very tired Coletti Mateo it was, putting boot to ball. Perrott, not a lot of sting in the kick return. Understandable when you look at that scoreboard. And coming up out of the line just for a second there, I thought Gutenbiel, the retiring Gutenbiel, was going to put on a big hit, but it wasn't to be. Here's Blair. Quite a nice tackle that was to stop him in his tracks, courtesy of Richard Faoso. Waki showing he's got some whack left in him. Eastwood on the receiving end. And they come this right side. They're going to come through the other side. Manu, look at them. Inu's away. Beats one. Got rid of the ball. There's a knock on. a little knock on.
Easy, boys, whistle.
It has really degenerated a little bit in the last 5 minutes or so. The sting has well and truly gone in this one.
Brilliant ball from Sika Manu on the right-hand corridor. That's Saar. Now you watch this. Inu's coming around the back. He's backing up. Got the beep, beep lights on. Out the back door it goes. Inu down the sideline. Little fancy dancing. Can't quite get the ball back inside.
Neither side seemingly in a hurry to pack this scrum, which will be fed by Eddie Player. Jennings. Ken Motor. Just for a split second, I thought he was through. Certainly has given a good account of himself here this afternoon. Jim Dimmock's side that has been well beaten. 22 blight it was at the break. And now look at this. Get out of my way, Tony Williams. Look at him go. Those legs pumping like pistons. And finally rounded up by the captain in Smith. Mateo keeps it going. It went backwards. Play on's the call. Fee makes the tackle, and Werner will play it back. Tonga now throwing some caution to the wind. Manakufoa pops it out the back door. Eastwood. Well, there's surely a knock on there somewhere. No way, says Robinson. And I can't believe it. The mercy rule has been applied just like that. And Tonga look to get a try here towards the death after a bizarre passage of play. Leo Latu throws it out the right side. Mateo looking to squeeze it.
You have to make some type of effort.
And we've got a penalty here.
On the goal line.
Kiwis offside. It's a tap and go, and Tavita scampers across. Might have picked up an injury in the process, and the former Warrior gets on the score sheet. Tonga get their second try. It is 50 points to 8.
Great work by Tavita Latu. We know how good at ducking and diving he is close to the ruck. In his time in the NRL, he did this. But the defence from New Zealand again on their line will cause Stephen Kearney. This is your passage of play where the mercy rule applied. This is a try at the end of it. Parrott, Jeremy Smith, he's had a wow of a game. But they just didn't push forward and didn't show enough enthusiasm, desire to hold them out. And Latu was too good for that. Looks like he's damaged his shoulder in the process. There's Tony Williams will attempt the shot at goal. Third in line at the goal kicking behind Burt, Inu, and then Williams.
Tony Williams looking to get Tonga into double figures at Mount Smart, and that will not happen. 50-8, the scoreline remains, and it all started with the man on screen, Tony Williams, with that bust down the eastern side of the ground.
It was brilliant. He's a big guy. He decided to go on the inside. Parrott was turned around, and then off the back of it, well, Latu weaved.
Yeah, it looks like he has picked up an injury after all. That is not a good look for the Tongans. Leo Latu, the try scorer, heading to the sheds, getting some medical treatment, no doubt. And that was their 12th and final change. Eddie Pao returns to the battle. Rawaki pops it out the back door, and Kalanoa looks to ignite them at the death with 3.5 to go here. 9 tries to 2. It has been a blitz by the Kiwis at Mount Smart. Tonga now spreading the ball to this left side of the ground. And look, here we go, down the sideline. It's Tonga for Tonga, but he's chopped down. And now we've got a flag up from the touchy. Finally, the Tongans giving the ball plenty of air.
That was great to watch. Great football. Tonga a couple of injuries today to Latu and Kafusi might hurt them in this World Cup. But when they do move it to the likes of Jennings and Mateo, he's the orchestrator there in the middle, they certainly have got some.
Tonga did well to keep it alive, but unfortunately for the Tongans, they just ran out of real estate.
Hold up. Head down, pull together.
Reminder, the Rugby League World Cup, 7 more sleeps to go. It all starts at Dairy Farmers in Townsville next Saturday night. Adrian Lamb's Kumals, providing they get all their players in the country. They had some visa problems at last report. Kumals up against England next Saturday. And of course, from the New Zealand point of view, all eyes on the Kiwis' first up game against the Aussies tomorrow week, which of course
hit the ball, so it's a knock-knock.
coincides with the opening ceremony at the SFS.
Very small margin for error though, isn't there, mate?
So the final 2 minutes after that fumble, we have another scrum.
Ball in.
We might see something fancy here from Stephen Kearney's side. This game being their first game since that disappointing display in the Centenary Test at the cricket ground back in May, and the Kiwis are away, and it's Manu back to Marshall, and he goes in looking for the grandstand finish is Benji Boy, and he plants it over the line to grab his second of the afternoon, and it's 54-8.
I've enjoyed the work of Sika Manu today. He has done extremely well with the opportunities given. Sure, he went over Paya, who was a halfback, but the timing to find Benji here was spot on. If he'd left it any later, would have been a forward pass, and he had to wait. He had to wait until Marshall loomed up on the inside. Goes straight through the line. Shows a good turn of pace once he gets here. Working hard and right there. When you come in, Benji, get there quickly. I'm out of it. Benji, straight between the posts. Yeah, Ruben, why wouldn't you be happy?
He's pretty happy in Taranaki last weekend from all reports. Pretty good stats, isn't it? Makes for pretty reading. 2 tries, 5 try assists, 4 offloads. One heck of a day at the office. The real test, of course, tomorrow week against the green and gold. 5 from 7 for Inu, with a conversion that is obviously purely academic. He adds the 2, and there you have it, full time. It's been a massacre. Tonga on the receiving end, the Kiwis thumping the Tongans 56 points to 8.
Steve, firstly, congratulations on the GF. Well done.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, no, it was a good feeling. Had a good party, so yeah, I'm glad to be in the camp.
Been hard to come on back?
Oh, not at all. The boys, you know, welcomed me with open arms, and you know, it's been a good camp so far, and hopefully we can take it on to next week.
And a couple of hard days in the bunker, though. It certainly sweated that one out.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we had a few drinks, a few parties, so you know, we're ready to get this World Cup underway. So.
And it's a good way to start with a result like today.
Yeah, definitely. We scored 50-odd points, but you know, we still got a few little things that we need to work on, and hopefully we can get that right come Sunday.
Well, good luck for the rest, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers. Thanks, buddy.
10 tries to 2, 4 in the first half for the Kiwis, 6 after the resumption. I'm sure Stephen Kearney would have been privately tickled pink with what he's seen today, keeping in mind that Vatuve and Hohaya and Kalis, all 3 of them didn't participate. They were named to play. Well, a man who certainly gave his all for his country today for Tonga, and not for the first time either. He's a real crowd favourite in this part of the world. His name's Owen Guttenbeil.
And it was always going to be tough after the start to this game of rugby league this afternoon.
Yeah, it was, mate. You know, if you don't have the ball, you're not going to win games. And playing the Kiwis, you know, they played the game really well today. You know, they just kept driving us down our own half, and they were relentless and ruthless, mate. And you know, we've got lots to work on, and there's some encouraging points there. But like I say, you can't defend all day.
You must have taken encouragement the way you start the second half. But there was a sense of maybe you could get back in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, a lot of us haven't played for 5 or 6 weeks now, so that'll be good for us, and it all you know, lies on next week what we can do. But there's a lot of work to be done.